It's Wednesday. That means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we're going to address a question that I get not only from women dating widowers, but widowers themselves, and that is, what is the best way for the widower to honor the late wife? This is often asked because I think a lot of women get involved in a relationship with the widower, and then they feel guilty that they aren't doing something to help the widower honor the late wife, like visit the cemetery or participate in some kind of event in her honor. And I also get it from widowers as well. Sometimes they'll just ask, what is a good way to honor the late wife? And I think the reason the question gets asked so much is, as a society, we don't have a lot of norms or customs or rules around what's the best way to honor someone. Maybe 100 years ago, you can go back, maybe there was a way to do it, but now it's like, well, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to go run an event or I'm going to post something on social media. There's not a really good way. There's no real norms around this. Anyway, if you feel guilty, don't. I'll explain in a minute. But let's talk about some of the ways that widowers honor the late wife. And I'm going to put that in air quotes there because I think I can make a case here that these really aren't ways to honor the late wife. So some ways that you'll see is that they'll, I don't know, put the ashes on the mantle somewhere. There could be a photo or photos of her in the house. One photo, a million photos, things like that. They could post something on social media about the late wife. Maybe it's a special day like, their anniversary, her birthday, her date of death, things like that. They may participate in some kind of event in her honor. This is common, like if she died from some horrible disease like cancer or something else, they'll do a 5K charity run and raise money for a cure. Again, good in its intents and results there. Maybe they want to visit the gravesite on a regular basis. They can also get together annually with family or friends and try to find some way to honor her. So, and by the way, if you're feeling guilty about not participating with the widower or his kids or anything about that, I want to know that you are now absolved of all guilt regarding this. As a former widower, I do absolve you of all guilt that you might be feeling for whether you're a widower or dating one. If you feel guilty about not doing any of these things to honor the late wife, well, don't feel guilty. You shouldn't feel guilty, and if you want to know why you shouldn't feel guilty, it's because I say that none of these things are ways to actually honor the late wife. I think they're great ways to remember the late wife, but not to honor her. Do you catch the difference there? There's a difference between remembering the late wife and honoring the late wife. And I think often when we talk about honoring the late wife, really what we're doing is talking about ways to remember her. And, again, I talk in my book about healthy ways to remember the late wife. But when you really want to talk about honoring somebody, I think there's a better way to do it than posting something on social media or visiting a cemetery. So how do you honor the late wife? In short, you live your life in a way that would make the late wife proud of you. Think about it for a sec. To honor the late wife, the best way you can do that, in my opinion, is you live your life in a way that would make the late wife proud of you. So let me give you kind of an example of this. In the Bible, they talk about honoring your father and your mother, and I'm not going to go into the religious aspect of this, but think about it. How many people honor their mom and dad by putting up photos in their home or visiting their gravesite? Is that how you honor your parents? Honestly, think about it. And if you're a parent, and I think if most of you are watching this, you probably are parents, but think about it. What's the best way, say like you die, how's the best way that you would want your kids to honor you? Would it be to put photos of their parents? Would it be to visit your gravesite twice a year or run a race in your honor or do something like that? Would it be putting photos up or, I don't know, keeping your ashes on the mantle? Is that really a way that you want your kids to honor you? Or have a big party? I think it's nice. I would love to be remembered. I hope when I die, I hope my kids, I hope they do maybe go to the cemetery once in a while and say, I miss Dad. He was awesome. I really appreciate the example he was, or something like that. And I think if they want to remember me that way, that's fine. But, if I'm looking down from heaven or wherever, how do I want my kids to honor me? Do I want some kind of annual celebration, on my date of death? Or do I really want my kids to turn into the kind of adults, that are good members of their community? think about it. How do you want your kids to honor you? What's the best way they can do that? I can tell you how kids cannot honor me. And, if my kids get older and, again, I don't know, say they do something stupid and go to prison for 20 years, I would still love them. I would still think of them as my kids, but, that's not really a way to honor. I'd be like, I didn't raise you this way. What are you doing? I didn't raise you to go out and carjack somebody and, spend your life in, to make these bad decisions. And again, I still love them and things like that. But really, think about it. How do you want your kids to honor you? And so take that a step further. How would your late wife want you to honor her? Would it be through parties and photos and things like that? Or would she want you to be happy? Would she want you to move on? If you want an example, this is how I honor my late wife, Krista, is I remarried and had a family with Juliana. And I know some of you are trying to wrap your heads around that. How could remarrying and having a family with another woman be a way to honor my late wife? So let me tell you a little bit about Krista and why it's the best way to honor her. Krista had a very outgoing personality. She was very vivacious. If she went to a party, she was the life of the party. She had a great way to make everybody feel loved. And, everybody feel included. That was just a strength that she had. It was wonderful. Wanted people to feel happy and included. And I do know Krista well enough that if she looked down from heaven or whatever, and she saw that I was moping around 20 years later or whatever, thinking, I'm sad, I miss you, Krista would be mad as heck about me. She'd be like, why are you mad? Or why are you sad? Why aren't you going on with your life? And honestly, the best way I've honored Krista is to try to keep is to be happy and to live again, because I know that's what Krista would want me to do. Again, I die and I go to heaven and I see Krista again. If I had lived my life in such a way where, I don't know, I was sad and maybe didn't remarry and, I don't know, was, in a constant down state and stuff like that, Krista would probably just hit me or something like that. That's just the way, just the way that it is. So I honor Krista by living my life in a way, by continue to live, essentially is what it is. And I built a great life with Juliana and my kids, and I love it. It's not perfect by any means. No one's life is, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so, it's a personal question here, but, think about your late wife. And I would say, if she was looking down from heaven, would she be happy at the way that you're living your life? If you have younger kids at home, or you still have kids living at home, would she be happy with the way that you're raising them? Or would she say, hey, what's going on? Why are you acting this way? And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with remembering the late wife. There's good ways and bad ways to do it. And maybe they'd feel good with the occasional cemetery visit, like you were still thinking about her or something like that. But I don't think that's really a good way to honor someone. And I think you honor the people that you love by the way you live your life. And if you can live it in such a way that these people are proud of you, then you've done your job and you've honored them. And so think about it today. So women dating widowers out there, I take, don't feel bad if you're not participating in ways to remember the late wife. The best thing you can do is, be you, and hopefully, you and the widower can be happy together. And if you're a widower and you're watching this, honestly, take some time today or some time tonight and just think about your late wife and think about the way she would want you to live your life if she were gone. And then ask yourself, are you living that kind of life? Are you living your life in such a way that you honor her? Anyway, that's the way to honor the late wife. Live your life in a way that would make the late wife proud of you. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book, Dating a Widower. Feel free to subscribe, comment below if you can think of other ways to honor the late wife. If you feel like it, please schedule a coaching session. Love to talk to you about this as well. And anyway, I will see you all next Wednesday.